Okay, hi, this is the first video on how to use Slowbreak. Slowbreak is a library that is used to connect to fixed servers. In this video, I will show how to begin to set up a small client and a small server so you can see that you can actually connect. At the end of the video, you will be able to launch a really small sample server and connect from a client all in Python, and the connection will be under SSL but on localhost. And also I want to do this video to show my ideas on how to secure SSL connections. In particular, I don't like certificate authorities, so in Slowbreak what I did is to uh, look at the fingerprint of a certificate as in SSH. So I will show all this, so let's hope everything goes well. And here I will have two different windows. On the upper window I will show the client, and on the lower window I will show the server. So the first thing we need to do to create a server is to create a private key for the server. If you already have the private key for the server, you don't need to do this, but we are starting from scratch. So the first thing we need to do, we have a small utility to create the server key. This will invoke SSL, OpenSSL. I will just put defaults here. So here it is. So now we have a a certificate and a key that's there. They are self-signed certificates. The command is quite simple. The code is on the version control system on the code that is published, so you can check the create server key. It's really simple. So now we have the key that was generated by OpenSSL. Now we can start the server. In order to do that, we have a sample server that you can check in the code for Slowbreak. I will just, in a different tutorial, I will explain how this server works. But for now, just know that it just listens on a local port and stays there. Oh, slow break, slow break. And here it goes. So now the server is running, listening for connections. This log is a standard Python logging. So it's just configured to go to a standard error just for this demo. It could go to a file, rotate, and all the things you can do with logs. So now for the client, I will not program a client. Instead, I kind of do little thing, but I will just use the Python console to connect. So I'm going with Python. It's Python 3.6, and now the first thing we need to connect. So this server is running on port 34567 in localhost. So I will do all the things to connect there and establish a session. The server has the code to have a server session that is called an acceptor session. So the other side for the client in fix, the client is called initiator. So because client, it can be mistaken when you're talking about finance. So in order to avoid that is the initiator session app that we are going to do. The initiator session app is a really big part of Slowbreak, and we're going to use that. So the first thing, we have to import a few things. This package com is the package that is used to connect to servers and has the ability to connect via SSL and validate without using a certificate authority. Instead of that, we are going to use the fingerprint of the certificate of the server. I will show. So the next thing is that, well, I think I show. So if you open, no, I will go. The other thing we need is the initiator session app. I will import that too. So here it is. And now I'm going to define a function to connect, because what we need to do is to open a socket and pass the socket to the initiator session app with another parameters, and then we have an initiator session app where we can do things. So the first thing is I'm going to define a method, it's called connect, that will receive a fingerprint. For now it's just the default. The fingerprint is what is going to be used to validate the server, and is as when you connect with SSH that you have a X fingerprint, and this fingerprint is the fingerprint of a certificate of a server. So if someone changes the either a private key or a public key, it will change on the certificate. It change the fingerprint, so it will be a different thing, so you will know. And on the other hand, you don't have to trust like hundreds of certificate authorities. So it's, in my opinion, much safe. So the code is like this. First, we need to get a socket, and in order to do that, we use the com package of com module of Slowbreak, and there is a method, it's called SSL connect, that receives a host that is going to be local host in this tutorial, a port. This is the port for this tutorial, and it will pass the fingerprint that we will receive as parameter here. So it's fingerprint there. And then let's hope I do it fine. I will return an initiator session app with several parameters. I think I will cut and paste this. I think it's easier. Yeah. So here it goes. Well, I will explain each one of these. The socket is the socket that is used to connect. The username is the username that will go to the server. On this demo, we are sending something, but we are ignoring it in the server because the server is really dumb. Also for the password. And we and you identify the, the entities that connect from client to server for the initiator and the acceptor. So that's a thing with fix that is going, it has to go in the header of every message, and it can be different from the username and the password. So in the implementations I did, it was the same, but it can be different, so we allow it to be different. And also we are going to reset the sequence number so it always starts at 1. We are going to connect in test mode. This is just a standard precaution, so we don't actually buy things we don't want to. But in this tutorial, we are going to connect to localhost and also not do any transactions, so we are extra fine. And the last thing is reconnect false, means that it will just connect once to the client, to the server, to acceptor, and then if it has some things, it will just leave. So with that, I define the method. There it is. So you have connect now. It's a method. And we're going to do the first thing. The first thing is we have this server running here. So I'm going to just take a session. And here, oh, one thing. The connect method returns an initiator session app. The initiator session app is the in next tutorials, we're going to discuss how to do applications, but essentially they're kind of like stacked one on top of each other, and usually the bottom application is a session app. It can be either an initiator session app or an acceptor session app, depending on if you're doing a client or a server. And if you do a client, you're most likely use this one. And also for testing, there are some other apps that you can use, or you can use none, depending on how you want to test. That will also be either videos or documentation or stuff. So for now, I'm going to connect and not pass any fingerprint, so I can show two things. First thing is that it will not connect, and the second one, it will show the actual fingerprint. So here it is. It says, okay, it's an invalid fingerprint, so your server is not right. If you see here, you will see that someone attempted to connect and then disconnected. That's fine, that's what we did. Oh, one more thing I forgot. I need to set up the logging also on the client. I did on the server, but the client too, so I'm going to import the logging and I will paste this. I don't think it's. Give me 1 second. I'm preparing things. You always try to prepare everything and then something is missing. That's like what happens. So here it is. I'm going to paste this. It's just standard logging configuration for Python, really simple. I'm just putting some format because I want to see the thread names eventually, and just logging as info. This will show how the fixed messages go on the client too. So it will show the messages will be messy. So I was going like before this, I was saying that this is the fingerprint of the server that's running here. So now we can connect using this fingerprint. When we connected to localhost and port 34567. That's fine. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to connect again. Oh, this is. But I will add the server fingerprint. And here, yeah, this is really good. So it received a message that is logon that you can see here where I saw the things. And then what we saw now is something that is called a heartbeat. It's a fixed thing. It's handled automatically by Slowbreak. It's here is one every 10 seconds. It's configurable, and what it's going to do is to send a message if nothing else happens. It means that the session is established between client and server. And for now, this is the entire tutorial, but this is the base to do all the other things. Like when you're developing, the first thing you need to do is to see that you can actually establish a connection with a server. So now that we establish the connection, we are going to go out. We do session.logout, and then we are done. And you can see that the connections between client and server are gone, and we are here, we're finished. And here it's running because it's waiting for other connections, but now we are done. So I hope you like it, and feel free to use Slowbreak. It's MIT licensed, and also if you need any help, you can hire me to do that. And feel free to use it to share with others and win money. And if you win a lot of money, you can send something to me. Okay. See you next time. Bye bye.